Right.
All right, we're on. Exactly on time. Hello, everyone. I am extremely sick, so that is why I'll sound ridiculous and probably not talk as much as I usually do.
Just now
Maybe you should take off your coat. So
I'll take off your face.
I dare you.
Anyway,
we're on air.
this is the Drexel Freethought Society. The Drexel Freethought Society is the only secular organization at Drexel University. We strive for education, new ideas, discussions, stuff like that. Every week we try to have some kind of podcast that hosts a discussion of some type of subject, something that'll promote conversation. Before we discuss what knowledge is, now we're going to discuss the opposite. We're going to discuss stupidity and ignorance.
Yes.
My name's David McDevitt. I'm the president of this thing. Let's all just go around real quick.
You didn't have to do that.
Why are you focusing on Oxa?
Because
She's hiding.
Now it's like only Oxa.
I'm being nice.
Technical difficulties, folks. What can you do?
I could just move more this way, but I
You're
don't
supposed
want
to,
to be
actually. David's not gonna bite you.
Yeah, he bites and scratches too.
Anywho,
I'm the
who are
vice
you
president
people?
of the Drexel Freethought Society. I'm Dante.
I'm Aksa, the secretary and treasurer.
And I'm just a disembodied voice.
His
We
name is
call
Joe.
him. It's like we call
Lies
him
in this seat!
The ex-enforcer.
All right, so let's just jump right into it. Oh, actually, I guess first, if anyone's watching, join the chat, or you can email us at drexfreethought@gmail.com. Any questions, comments, anything you want. I'll try to maintain conversation on my computer.
Or you can probably post it on Facebook or something
Yeah,
like that.
you can post it on Facebook, you can post it on our group. Doesn't matter. All right, let's just
Like,
keep
we
going.
will eventually have this as a call-in show, but we have yet to set up the account yet.
We'll get there.
And we need more fans.
More
Tell your
fans.
friends, people.
Tell people about us, please. We have Oxa.
I love how that's your selling point. Like, really, that is your selling point
That
for
is
the
so-
show.
That is so.
It's a great selling point. Don't hate.
But I think we should start off with 2 words.
Come in, come in, come in, come in.
Jeez, if you're gonna interrupt, please come in. Anyways,
That's what she said.
sorry, let me get to the point. I think a good way to start this off, since we're going to be talking about 4 main things, which may lead to 6 or 10.
Or 20.
Stupidity, possibly. Stupidity, ignorance, intelligence, knowledge. But I definitely want to start off with stupidity and ignorance.
Can we define them first? Because I'm still confused. Like, what's the difference between ignorance and stupidity?
Yeah, that's what I want to talk about. Those because they're used so interchangeably. But yeah, if you were to look them up in any dictionary, there is a distinct difference between the two. So, does anybody in their own words have a difference between stupidity, ignorance? Can you just conjure up, yes, logical?
I think, okay, my personal definition is stupidity is the lack of knowledge, whereas ignorance is you have the knowledge, but you choose not to accept it.
You see, I always thought of it as the opposite.
Yeah, that's how I
same
thought.
here.
I thought ignorance is just like, I'm ignorant of quantum physics. I don't know anything about it.
No,
I
no.
know something about quantum physics.
Whatever. Interpretive French dance. I'm ignorant of that subject.
Oh yeah.
But something like calculus, I could say that sometimes I'm just really stupid. I definitely have the skills needed to do a lot of calculus, but I just don't remember some of it. I know I learned it. I'm just not able to repeat it, I
So
guess.
stupid is more of a loaded term.
Yeah, but you're not stupid. Like, you do have an understanding.
Okay, and then what is stupid?
That's what I mean, to me, stupid is that you have no clue whatsoever.
Exactly what I said.
You see, I still think that's ignorance.
No,
Ignorance is not
no.
knowing anything at all, but stupidity is not having a clue, which I think is more of ignorance. You have no idea something exists.
I don't know. I think stupidity would be more like you know the information, but you choose not to use it.
That's ignorance.
No,
No,
ignorance is what you don't
ignorance is the lack of information.
No, no, no.
Well, think about how we use
yes,
the words.
yes.
Think about how you use the word stupid and ignorant in everyday life. And I can even debate that we don't use them correctly. Because I'll give a quick example. You're walking down the street, somebody bumps into you and keeps walking, doesn't say excuse me, you turn around and you're saying, oh, that person's being ignorant.
Yeah, that doesn't.
But that doesn't work very well. And I correct people on that all the time. But my definition would be is that I would consider stupidity to be a defect, not necessarily like mental retardation. I would try to differentiate that, but I would consider stupidity to be the inability to obtain knowledge for some reason.
Okay. So we're going even deeper into it.
While ignorance would be more of I don't have the information. I mean, sure, you have the ability to get that information, you just don't possess it. That's how I think of ignorance.
Does anyone have any other opinions on definitions before I give what the internet says?
Ignorance has the word ignore in it, so I think that confuses people because ignore means that you know something but you choose to not know it.
Yeah, I think that's where Joe. I think that's where you're coming from, but I don't think it's actually a definition of the word.
And it's because much like living things, words evolve. Their usage may change over time. All it takes is just that one little, like those few conversations where the word is used slightly different, and then somebody will use a slight derivation of that different word, and a slight derivation of that different word. Next thing you know, the word means something totally different. So that might be where it came from. Because I looked up the word ignorance, and there's actually very little correlation to someone ignoring something. It's like the people who are like how the dictionaries define it. I've looked at several dictionaries. When they define ignorance, it usually pertains to just not possessing the knowledge. Not necessarily that, I know this, but I'm not going to use it. That's more of like, I mean, from what I've gathered from dictionaries, that's more stupid. But there's, but see, stupidity is debatable too, and not just in the human terms, but in animal terms. Like, would you consider a worm to be stupid, even though that a worm has existed for millions and millions of years on this planet successfully?
Well, in Einstein's words, you can't judge a fish on how well it can climb a tree.
Well, you see, I argue that point slightly, because I think it depends on exactly what you're judging them on. If you're judging on animals that are good at climbing trees, and fish are really bad at it.
Yeah, but that's not what a fish does. A fish does not climb trees. Fish swim.
Not sure most.
Yeah, actually, their fish can do that.
What?
They can't climb vertically, but they can climb up a branch.
Who?
Mudskippers. There's a fish that can kind of climb trees.
Well, technically we're fish, so.
Yeah, I mean, if you think of it that way, yeah. Newcomer, whatever your
Richard
name is.
Gamble.
Do you get comfortable? Take off your coat and tell us what stupidity and ignorance is. Come on.
Stupidity is when you know something is true and you choose to deny it. That's stupid.
You go with mine.
If you're ignorant, it just means that you don't know anything about the subject.
Okay.
Say,
So us three on that side, well, you're kind of like in the middle.
Yeah, because I don't know exactly what I'm talking about.
So you're saying you're ignorant on
So you're
ignorance.
Yeah, exactly.
Ignoranceception. Alright. So now that we all have a general opinions on the subject, what the internet says is that ignorance is lacking knowledge, information, or awareness about a specific something in particular, as in ignorant of astronomy, or lacking knowledge or awareness in general.
And stupidity?
Stupidity is lacking intelligence. And intelligence is defined as the ability to learn, reason, and understand.
So you're stupid because you can't reason.
Yes.
Okay.
So basically, both of them are lacking in knowledge.
Not lacking in knowledge, lacking in intelligence.
One lacks in intelligence and knowledge. The other lacks in the ability to.
Well, when I think of intelligence, I'm thinking like IQ, like stuff like that.
I
Pretty
don't
much.
think intelligence is pretty much that. I mean, pretty much intelligence has to deal with like how you reason things. Like a lot of people use deductive reasoning, and that's how most people's brains work. They think of something very general, and they put it down to something specific, and that's our whole entire train of thought, and it's incorrect.
Balloon is a good idea.
It's totally incorrect. Inductive reasoning is more of, I take a specific case, and then I put it into the more general.
So you get the gist of it.
Yes.
I
And
feel like
it'll be I'm sorry, it would be stupid to take something general and just make it specific as possible. But that's what most people do. So
Well, yes,
most
people are just people go in
usually
the
stupid.
people
But
are
it's the
like.
type of reasoning. You do go from
I mean,
broad.
it's pretty much where stereotypes come from. Like a stereotype is like is a perfect example of deductive reasoning. You're like, oh, I don't know, what's a really big.
He's a black person.
Unless he's a Russian under vodka.
I
We're
don't
gonna
know.
do Russian. Well, it doesn't matter. I mean, I was going with women drivers.
Yeah, let's go with
agree
it.
with that.
Let's go with it.
No, I'm just saying it doesn't. I'm thinking of a random example. So if you have just someone, if you see like a lady going down the street and she's driving erratically, there are a lot of people who be like, oh, she's driving bad. She's a woman. They must be correlated. Therefore, all women are bad drivers. That is terrible, terrible logic.
No, it's good logic, trust me.
It depends on how many instances of this you see.
Too many!
Okay. Yeah, I would go with Dante's like thing. It's like it depends on how many you see and how like what the ratio is of women being good drivers compared to the women being bad drivers.
No, I mean,
3 to 1.
I do that with anything. But
So you can say that a lot of women are bad drivers, but you can't say, oh, all women are bad drivers.
Yeah.
That it's an absolute, and absolutes are not true.
Especially that one.
So
You know any good women drivers?
My sister's a good driver.
my cousin.
I was thinking of Danica Patrick.
No, she was close, unfortunately.
But she's a race car
It
driver.
But now there's always been a big debate with psychologists about intelligence. Some subscribe to what they call G. That's like the general intelligence. Like overall, you're either really intelligent or you're just dumb. And then you have some that say there's only 3 kinds. I don't remember all the specific ones.
Spatial, auditorial, and.
Well, those are methods of learning.
Oh.
Yeah, like they had 3 types of intelligence. And there was one scientist, he suggested that there was 7, I think. And I think he divided them into like math, art, memory. Like it was all kinds of different stuff. Like you could be really good at science but really stupid in math, really good at art but really stupid at
And now they're actually using stupid in the appropriate sense. That they lack the ability to reason through a certain type of subject.
Yeah, some.
But I think it depends on like brain orientation as well. Where artists are mostly like they use
Abstract thinking.
right brain, and
The whole left brain, right brain isn't actually how brains work.
I heard
No,
that it was
but
actually false.
there's different regions of your brain that certain types of people use more often than others.
But yeah,
That I can agree with.
The brain's extremely plastic.
Elastic.
I just think it's plastic.
It's elasticity, right? Or is it
Yeah.
plasticity?
It's plasticity.
Plasticity. Okay. Sorry.
Elasticity would mean if you stretch it, it goes back to normal.
Well, I wasn't sure.
I would say
Plastic
versatile.
means like it can
Like the
remold
elastic
its
clause
shape.
in the Constitution.
I would say the brain is very versatile.
But there is a certain.
So there's certain areas in the
Yeah.
brain.
Well, I
That you
understand
do
what
that.
she's saying. Sorry, your name?
Oxa.
Oxa. I can understand what Oxa is saying because, I mean, if you are born and then you decide that once you get into elementary school or middle school or something, and you say, oh, well, I like history the most, so I'm going to focus more on history, then, of course, your critical thinking skills are going to be more well attuned because history and English are very critical thinking types of subjects. But if you take math and you say I'm a very mathematical person, that just means that you're a more logical, cut and dry sort of person because math is,
Very logical,
math
very
is just
concrete.
very logical and concrete. Then that means that, if I were to be more into history, it would be less likely that I'd be more into programming than a mathematician.
But if
I
Was
it,
it a matter of
agree.
concrete versus abstract?
I
Yes.
agree. Look at Leonardo da Vinci. He was a scientist, but he was an amazing artist as well.
yeah, like I don't actually like this particular thread that psychology is starting to go into because it's creating artificial divisions between different types of intelligence that don't need to be there. Like the Da Vinci is a perfect example. He was basically good at freaking everything.
He was just a genius.
Yes.
There were no barriers because he didn't want there to be
They
barriers.
have a name for those kind of people. polymath.
Why does it need to be names for them? Why can't it just be everybody?
Yeah, like I.
Because not everybody's a polymath.
Yeah, but
No, I
think
aspire
everyone
to be
has
like
that.
him. Like I want to have a lot of different qualities. I've taken a lot of art classes. I've taken
Yes,
almost every other.
but here's
type
the
of
question. Now, can we?
I think we can.
I think we can. I think this is a problem with the
really
education
everyone,
system.
almost everyone has that ability to do that sort
Yeah,
of
it
stuff.
just
They
depends
just
on
have
how
to.
much you.
So what dictates the difficulty of somebody learning certain things? Like some people are just like no, like they'll try just as hard as everybody else, and will still be pretty bad at math, or still be bad at understanding
Okay,
simple
that's
stuff.
how I felt sometimes. Like in high school, I was really bad at math, but the reason was I didn't understand the way the teacher was teaching it. But when I got to college, the professor started in a different way, and like it clicked. Not everyone learns the same
So
way.
it depends
See-
on how you receive the information.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had the exact opposite effect coming in here because in high school I breezed through math. Like I got all hundreds and shit. As soon as I came here, it just plummeted.
No cursing.
I corrected. He said stuff, not.
Okay.
Yes.
See, the thing is that like I had the same experience as opposite. I was terrible at math, and I was terrible at math from elementary school to high school, and until I learned it in a better way, in a better fashion from my professors, I got much better at it. But also, I think as the way it is taught, if you are interested in it, then you're gonna find it easier to go through.
I definitely agree with that. I've taken AP.
So it depends on the will, right?
Not really the will, but if you make something fun, like education, if you make it fun, more people will learn it. Like I took an AP psych course in high school, and like psychology isn't something that everyone easily gets. But everyone in my class was getting A's because the professor taught it so well. Like everyone got a 5 on the exam, everyone got like A's in the class because it was enjoyable to learn.
This is why, like, I'm sorry. Like, this is why I really don't like our current educational system. Because it's effectively designed to create factory workers.
Yeah.
And if we switch all of that, I'll catch you up in a second, Chaz. There's a huge problem with how we teach things. And especially the way that we look at things. So tying together the different types of intelligence that I don't really think they are there. And then how we teach the people solidifies walls in their heads. So it's like, I'm an artist, I'll never be a scientist. It's like, no,
That is not true.
that's not true at
So
all.
don't you all also agree with the fact that the standardized testing that
That's
we
bull.
have
All
is
standardized
bull-
testing is horrible.
It's ridiculous. It's asinine, really.
No.
I mean, I've seen people do horrible on those tests. Like my friends are like, oh, I stink at this, and next thing you know, they're getting degrees in college. Like those standardized tests really don't tell you anything. They really
Those
don't.
are-
Standardized tests are just a waste of time.
I agree.
And
They're just sorry.
I was just gonna say it's a really bad way of assessing people because then the teachers they're like, oh well, we have to make sure these kids pass these exams. You have to teach to the exam, which is not what you're supposed to be doing. Teaching is not towards the
It's
goal.
very fluid.
necessarily.
Teaching should not be so straightforward. It should not just be like, you got to stay on this road. No, like I mean, the thing is, people do learn in different ways, and just having a simple test, and expect everybody to know all these things, it just doesn't make sense to me. People.
Especially since, like, you will always have references for your entire life.
Oh yeah.
For, like,
I mean, we all absorb different kinds of information in different ways. So just having one test for millions of children that all think in different ways just doesn't make any sense.
But then, what colleges and universities do is they assess each person compared to each other. How would they do that if they didn't have the standardized testing? They wouldn't be able to do that.
I think if we focused a whole lot more on essays, projects, community work, other characteristics than standardized tests. And they're starting to do that now.
Yeah, a lot of colleges don't even look at SAT that much.
Because everyone does well on them, because we've already been trained to do well on them.
Not everyone does well on everything.
Yes, but
Uh,
people
so
in good
I cannot begin to tell you what my SAT scores were.
I never studied for them. Apparently, I scored like mildly high. It's just they were dumb.
I did mediocre. I did like okay, but
Alright.
still
Hey audience,
do
use your
perfect.
imagination of what I'm doing to David right now.
Well, like, I don't even think SATs matter that much because a lot of your other courses really. Where am I going with this? Everything else that you do really tells a person who you are, like the classes you take, the grades you get. But I feel like even with like GPAs and stuff, they're not an accurate reflection of who you are. Because you might do really bad in one course and then your GPA goes down, but you're really good at something else.
Yeah. For example, I'll be real honest with you. I'm taking some of the most interesting classes: entomology, marine ecology, animal behavior, which I love, and cell biology. And I'm actually doing mediocre on my animal behavior tests. Like exams, I just think at exams. I mean, I pass them, but I don't really excel in them. But yet, I still understand the stuff. First, I mean, maybe part of it is memory, because sometimes I just can't remember that term. Oh, what is that term? It's
Hating when that happens.
But if I actually apply what I learned, like if I'm actually out there studying the animal, or I'm doing research, like if you tell me to write a paper, it's very unlikely that I'll get lower than a high B in that paper. Is because I do know the material. It's just that when you're doing an actual exam, it's more of like, it's not really what you learn, it's what you memorize.
Yeah.
It's all about how much stuff can you cram to your head for this amount of time and then spit it out on this paper.
Even if it's open notes and open book, it's still
You
how
still
much.
gotta find it.
Well, that's the problem. I mean, we're just too focused on, oh, memorize this theorem, and that theorem, and that theorem,
And then
and
it
that
goes out of
theorem.
your head.
And then, yeah, exactly. Once you're out of that class, you don't care anymore, and you say, well,
you
dump
regurgitate
everything.
You're like, okay, I'm done. I don't need to know this.
That's why like the whole crash studying, cramming right before a test, everyone does it because you need it get in your short-term memory because you never need it after that.
And then,
Which I disagree with.
I disagree too, but it works.
Here's the big part
It's
about
bad that it works.
Here's the big part about how much I don't like exams is that when you do get your degree, say you're going to study zebras out in the wild and stuff, mammalogy or something like that. As a new scientist just going out in the field, what is one of the first things you're going to do besides hang out with somebody who's been experienced? You're going to look this stuff up again. You're going to
Buy
be like,
really good pants.
Safari pants.
well, yeah, that too. but as far as like when but as far as when you're studying the animal or when you become a molecular biologist stuff and all those big words and everything, one of the first things you're going to do is you're going to look up those terms again. You're going to have books. There's a reason why even the greatest scientists still have a ton of books floating around. They forget too, But then things
That's
like,
why Wikipedia was invented.
yeah, that might be one. So things start clicking in your head. Oh, I remember that word, and now I can apply this. So the exams really don't tell you much other than I crammed this much in my head in this amount of time, and I was able to spit it out in the nick of time fast.
This is why like the entire educational system has to be so grossly reworked that it's really hard.
Also, going to what you said about the Wikipedia being abandoned and all that, the funny thing is, ever since middle school, as far as I can remember, whenever we did a research paper, we were not ever to use Wikipedia.
Wikipedia is one of the best resources ever.
Yeah, Wikipedia is good to get sources, so you can get sources material, so you can actually do the paper, but you can't use Wikipedia itself as a source.
Because it might not be the most accurate, but if you go to the other sources that are listed in the bibliography, those are usually really good sources.
Which is why like some of my friends and I we developed a system where we get everything off of Wikipedia and just slapped on one of the sources that are there and just say, hey, we actually did research.
But
the teachers can't know we do that.
but no, Wikipedia.
They don't know who I am. I can say whatever I want.
Oh, I told them who you were.
No, you didn't.
I told them what your name was.
No, it's a lie and deceit. You are deceiving the audience.
Sure, I am.
So this brings me down to this question. Now, since we've talked about all these, different ways of testing and assessing intelligence and how people do have the ability to learn whatever they want if they put their mind to it, is there such thing as a stupid person?
Yes.
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 Because the same way that there's different, I kind of like IQ tests because they're not like normal tests. They measure your comprehension and your reasoning ability.
Yeah.
So there are people, as a matter of fact, who have very low IQs. It
It's
doesn't.
not their fault.
Yeah, it's not their fault. It doesn't make them bad people. It's just that
happens.
they have a different level of comprehension about stuff.
Okay, like what I say is that every person has the ability to be intelligent or knowledgeable about something. However, they can still do stupid things.
Oh yeah. So does
Well,
it,
yeah,
so it
that's
comes to
a
that.
different
So it
thing.
comes to that book smart and common sense thing.
Exactly.
Well, when it comes to intelligence quotient, I know that you have certain certain things. Like if you have Down syndrome or something, your IQ might be lower, but that doesn't mean you're stupid. It means it takes you a longer time to learn what other people will learn faster. What I think is stupidity is when you know that something has been proven true, like evolution, and you say, "Oh, that's not true," and I
No.
totally
So
dismiss
You
it.
see-
delusion and denial is.
No,
No.
I think illusion, denial, and willful ignorance is different than stupidity.
Yeah.
Because like
Also-
there are people that just outright can't understand evolution and might never be able to understand it.
Also, evolution is just a theory. It has not been proven.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Otherwise, it would be a theorem, not a theory.
We
You don't know
are
what a
going to
theory
take a
is,
short
right?
break, ladies and gentlemen.
In which Joe will die.
Joe, a theory is the last thing that something becomes in science. It is the pinnacle. You don't get higher than a theory. A theory is a comprehensive explanation of how facts happen, how things in the world happen. A theorem is math. A law is a made-up term that doesn't actually mean anything. And proofs and things like that are math. So,
Gravity
And
is
it's
a
also
theory.
a fact.
Yes.
Evolution is also a fact.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you
Evolution itself is an Okay, so do you know what a fact is?
Yes, it's something that's been proven like literally thousands of times.
No. A fact is an observable instance in the universe. That is what a fact is. A fact is something that actually happens. We don't know what it is. Like, if a ball of light appeared in front of me, that light appearing is a fact. I have no bloody idea what just happened, but it was there, so it's a fact.
Yeah, but can you prove it?
You don't prove things. You demonstrate them,
You can't prove or disprove anything.
except in math.
Yeah.
You
Well,
can do it in math.
math
not
is
true.
math is different. I'm talking about like any other scientific realm.
This is how science works.
Prove is just another one of those words, just like stupidity, where it's been used in different ways.
It's like
So we know. So you kind of know what we mean when we say prove.
It's like this. Back in the medieval times, they used to leech people. That was their theory. They disproven it because they figured out that it was wrong. That
It
they
didn't
don't
actually
have bad blood in them, and that leeching doesn't actually work. That's
Same with
how
blood
science works. We continually
Oh,
try
like
to
blood blocks.
disprove ourselves, but if we cannot disprove something that is known as scientific fact, like evolution, then it remains true until it is disproven.
Evolution has been confirmed thousands upon thousands of times. It's had 150 years for people to disprove it, and nobody has. Which means tomorrow they could completely knock it out of the water. But I wouldn't hold my breath.
But just a quick thing: a law is not the pinnacle of science. All a law states is that this is.
No,
This is
a
a
law
repeatable-
is a colloquialism.
Yeah,
It's not actually
it's just a
science.
repeatable thing that so far has no derivation in its conclusion. That's all a law says. Other than that, it really doesn't mean anything. But just to clear that up. But how about we find it? How about we come up with
Wait,
an
like, Joe,
instance
do
of
you
somebody-
understand the difference between facts and theories? It's like theories explain facts. Do you understand that now? Do you have
We
any
have a
further
million
questions?
theories.
Theories explain why things happen.
Yeah, but it's still just a theory.
What do you mean by just a theory? A theory is the highest you can be in science.
You
Yes.
can never,
He's using the
you
word in
can
a
never
different-
prove
As if it was a
anything.
quantifiable
You
thing.
Yeah.
cannot prove anything. I cannot prove that there is no
Well,
God.
here's the question.
But-
What's above a theory?
A theorem. I told you that.
No, theorems only apply to math.
Different,
theorem is
different
math.
animal. Totally different animal.
You don't
No.
use theorems in science.
Theory is used in science. Theorems
Like
are used
Pythagorean's theorem. That's mathematical.
It's a comprehensive proof of, like, what is Pythagoras' thing? The whole triangle
A
stuff.
squared plus B squared equals C
Yeah.
squared, which is
He has
like
a comprehensive proof on a piece of paper why that theorem works. You don't do that in science, because we can't.
There's a million
It's all
theories in
semantics.
science. Like there's the Big
It's
Bang
like,
theory.
no, would you say that cell theory is just a theory? Or that the theory of gravity is just a theory?
No. Gravity is a law, which is also a quote unquote way of saying theorem, because it's been proven thousands of times that gravity exists.
Theorem, like we said, only applies
Theorem
to
is-
math.
I'm just going to look up the definition of theorem just so we can. Yeah, I thought so too, Chaz. But it's okay.
Okay, how about
When
Okay,
they say
what
the
the-
law, when they say the law of gravity, like I said, the definition of law is just that a repeatable behavior that has, where the conclusion is predictable, quote unquote. It's like we know when you drop things on Earth, they go down. That's the law. But that's all it says. It doesn't explain why it happens or how it happens. It just says that this happens.
But isn't
all the
law-
time.
That also
isn't
Guys,
law just
that
another word?
Guys, in mathematics, a theorem is a statement that has been proven on the basis of previously established statements, such as other theorems, and previously established statements, such as axioms.
And
It's
can you
in
look up
mathematics.
theory also?
Theorem's only math. Go on.
After he looks up theory, I was thinking of coming up with a scenario, kind of like what we talked about when we all went out, about the guy wearing the stake around his neck, jumping into the Atlantic Ocean in the middle of the night. Is that stupid or is it ignorant?
I was gonna say, like, isn't law just another word for theory? Because you have the law of gravitation, but you can say it's a theory
It's
as
just a
well.
colloquialism.
Well, it's also, I mean,
The law only points towards a predictable, like supposed predictable conclusion. It doesn't explain anything.
Also-
It just says this
Oh, I
happens.
see what it means.
theories
So it's
like
Okay,
It just
let
goes
me
straight
put,
to the
let me put it to you
conclusion.
this way. If I punch you in the face, it's not a theory because it actually happened.
But that's,
But that's not,
not science.
yeah, that's not related to what we're talking about.
Science goes through the scientific method.
There's a procedure.
It's
Let's
like,
say-
in modern science, the term theory refers to scientific theories, a well-confirmed type of explanation of nature, made in a way constant with a scientific method, and fulfilling the criteria required by modern science. That's what a theory is.
also with the theory of gravity, it's, I mean,
The
gravity
theory of
in
universal
itself,
gravitation.
Yeah, it's-
gravity in itself is a physics type thing, right?
Yeah,
And that's-
like gravity by itself is a fact. Things float toward other things.
And that's all
It's an
law
observable
says. Yeah.
phenomenon.
But the thing is that that's a theory because that's only saying if our physical world as we know it is a constant, but we have come to the conclusion that there are certain things in very groundbreaking science, like quantum mechanics and string theory, that we cannot explain yet. And that actually says right there that it's all based upon probability, which is not a constant. From what we know, everything else in science that is not in those types of science are constants. So therefore,
So, like,
Exactly. That's
so
what
in-
I've been saying. If it's not constant, it's just a theory.
it is constant. Oh.
What, just a theory? What do you mean by just a theory?
He's not worried about the word theory. It's the fact that he used the word just as if it was some sort of lower hierarchical term. That's what he meant.
No,
Like,
I
instead of saying it's a theory, you're saying it's just a theory. I think that's what he's
No,
pointing
I think he's confusing theory with hypothesis.
in which,
Do you know what a hypothesis is?
Yeah, you predict what was going to happen, but you don't know whether that's going to be the result or not.
So then you test it.
Yes, within the
Okay, so he knows the difference between those two things.
But like the way that you're saying it, to me it sounds like you're saying it's just a hypothesis. Like
It's just a guess.
yeah, it's just a theory. It's just a guess. Nobody really knows what's going
Yeah,
on.
it is. Yeah.
That's
Whereas theory has been proven.
Comprehensively
It may have been
demonstrated.
proven like a couple times, but there can be an instance where it can be disproven.
But it
Well,
hasn't.
has-
Theories are always
No,
open.
listen.
It can.
It can
Right.
be. Evolution could be disproven, or whatever word I'm trying to say.
It could be disproven within the next hour for all we know.
Yeah.
Yes,
Cambrian
but
rabbit.
it
Next thing you
hasn't.
don't know.
But it hasn't for 150 years of people constantly trying to scrutinize it.
The Precambrian rabbit.
Yeah. Like,
A what now?
if you found a
Crocoduck.
if you found a modern day rabbit in the Precambrian fossils, then evolution would have a lot of problems.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But
So-
that's the thing, is that it's been demonstrated thousands of times.
Even in the lab.
We've seen evolution happening in real time, basically.
There's been simulations done. There's been models done.
It's
It's
shown to be accurate with bone scans, with DNA tracing, with ancestry that we can actually track.
Ribosomal RNA. You can just go on.
With,
and on.
with
Antibacterials.
the take-home point is that
Virus.
everything in science is open to scrutiny. Like you
Yes.
said, there's no absolute.
Exactly.
So what theory we come up with, if someone finds something new that just throws everything for a loop, it's going to be tested for. It's going to be observed. Hopefully.
And then a new theory will be made.
And
Exactly.
the other one
Theories-
will be
theories
totally
evolve.
discarded.
So
Exactly. Like I said, it can still be disproven.
Yeah.
It
Yes.
just hasn't happened yet.
exactly.
Yes, but right
You
now
cannot
it's
say a theory is incorrect. Theories are not incorrect. They're just not. Somebody help me.
We got
done yet.
Yeah, something like
It's
that.
like
no,
a theory
wait.
is a theory. If something to become a theory, it is our current best explanation for why something happens.
We don't have a better reasoning than that.
Yeah.
Until
like,
something shows up.
like, we'll take it to this way. Like back when the Greeks had their mythology developed, that was their theory of why the world worked.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they had no better reasoning
Yes,
of
and
why
right
the
now
world
And then we
evolution
found
is.
better stuff.
So I'm still confused. Do you not think it's just a theory anymore?
No, I still think it's just a theory. It's just like I'm saying, is that a theory can still be disproven. Like for example, with the
And
mythology.
You're right, and you are right. Like I said, it's just that word you're using. Just
It's not just a theory. It is what we believe.
it's not
is
just a
true
theory.
at this time.
It is a theory. It
It's
is a
what
theory.
we know at this
It's not
time.
just
But
a theory.
but I think we should kind of jump back to the stupidity, ignorance thing.
But I feel like this is a good explanation of what we're trying to do.
Probably, yeah. I guess you could say that, possibly. But I mean,
Actually, Chaz has been writing a lot of things for Joe, so I'm just gonna read through them real fast.
Joe has a fan.
If I'm able to scroll up correctly. Wow, you wrote a lot.
Jeez, Chaz.
At least a guy actually commented.
A
Yeah.
system of ideas intended to explain something, one based on general principles independent of the thing to be explained. Darwin's theory of evolution is a set of principles in which
And bear in mind that Darwin wasn't right about everything.
Exactly.
Like his survival of the fittest.
you didn't
Actually,
that wasn't
His
him.
Was
theory
supposedly-
has evolved.
Yeah.
Gradualism.
A set of principles on which a practice or an activity is based. An idea used to account for a situation to justify a course of action. A collection of propositions to illustrate principles of a subject. These are all different definitions of scientific
Did
theory.
you say gradualism was proven?
It's actually known that
Thank you, Chaz.
It's actually known that our fossil record supports punctuated equilibrium and not gradualism.
The way I think about it is us. We are all gradually changing.
But if you look
The
at the
DNA.
if you look at the actual definitions between gradualism and punctuated equilibrium, it's punctuated equilibrium. It still happened over a very, 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 very long time.
Oh, it's just there's
But
more,
it's just called
there's more
punctuated
there's
equilibrium.
more random leaps than
Yes.
we previously expected.
Yeah.
More
But maybe
That's
clonogenesis.
neat.
we just don't have those fossil records that would prove that there was gradualism.
I mean,
Works for
there's
me.
there's also been theories like how like earlobes, like besides just hanging around there and like be there for earrings or something like that, there's been theories around that they may have served a purpose at one time in the past.
Yeah.
True.
But
We
has
see-
it
but-
been proven yet?
We gotta
no.
bring it back, Dave.
It's
They don't
Yes.
have to be proven. It can be disproven.
We gotta bring it back.
Order.
I'm just saying, like, just
Okay.
because it was disproven doesn't mean that it wasn't a theory.
yeah, like I said, with it being a theory, it can still be disproven or it can be proven. We don't know which
Laws
is
can
which.
be proven or disproven.
Hey,
No,
guys.
theories can't be
Hey guys,
proven.
let's bring it
Wait,
back
guys.
on the track.
Indeed, but just as a final note, theories aren't proven ever. They are demonstrated. Do you understand the difference between being demonstrated and being proven?
Yeah.
That you have to keep that in mind. You can completely prove a theory false, with basically a single example and kind of say like this throws all of this wrong. You have to change it. But that doesn't happen with evolution. It's changed over time. It had evolved. But anyway, I'm sorry. I just wanted to make that very clear, is that you don't actually prove things. You don't actually prove things true with a theory.
Science does not work like that. Math works like that.
Math is not really a science.
Math is
Math is a tool. Yes, Chaz, next subject.
Yeah, back to stupid intelligence.
Can we go to the guy with the shark?
Okay.
Or meat or whatever.
All right. Well, yeah, because we did a while back. A few of us went out and we were discussing this very topic about stupidity and ignorance and intelligence, so on and so forth. And I
When did this happen?
Huh?
When did this happen?
This was
Couple weeks ago.
about 2 weeks ago. We all went to Joe's Crash. Not Joe's
No,
Crash.
we
We
went
went
to
to Chickies and
Pete's.
Pete's. Sorry, we didn't go to your restaurant.
Oh, I still have those mussels in my fridge.
But
I shouldn't eat those now.
But basically, I came up with, we debated on whether this man, and we looked at different things, is stupid or ignorant or does he have another purpose. Where I came up with a guy
And then you spread
who said, hey, I'm going to jump into the Atlantic Ocean late at night, because as most of us know, that sharks are very abundant at nighttime. They're nocturnal hunters in large groups, and wear a ring of meat around his neck, like steak stuff, and just jumps in the ocean. Now, would you consider this person to be intelligent or stupid? What factors determine whether
You
this
mean
person is
ignorant or
stupid?
stupid?
Yeah, he could be intelligent for all we know. We don't know.
I mean,
we know
he
his
could,
purpose.
he could have some intelligence, but like I said, people do stupid things even if they are intelligent.
Well,
you have to
in
think of the
reference to
reason-
the situation.
You have to think of the reasons why, though.
Yeah.
He might have like justifiable bravado or something.
Uh-huh.
Like he's like, I'm intelligent enough to be able to handle myself. So he might actually have a good understanding of the situation.
But what is his purpose for doing?
Maybe he wants to catch sharks. In that case, he's doing exactly what he should be doing. You're definitely going to attract sharks with what he's doing.
What do you mean by bravado? Like,
I don't know. Like, there's a big problem with people who are very intelligent and also very young, who kind of go, "I'm invincible because I can handle myself." It happens a lot.
never
Some
happened to me before.
people are just kind of like, "I'm going to go off this jump on my dirt bike because I know what I'm doing."
So it all depends on what he knows.
Nice.
So it all depends on his purpose and what he knows. Basically.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's some guy that's just that's trying to impress people, like woo the ladies, use his bravado, it's like, look, chicks, I could jump in the Atlantic Ocean, with a ring of steak around my neck, where there's bull sharks and great whites, and I'm trying to think of
Not
another.
that close to the shore though.
Tiger
If you
sharks.
don't- Great whites have done it. You won't
Not
fight
that
tiger sharks
often,
as far enough. Yeah, it's very rare. You won't fight tiger sharks up here. Sometimes the occasional mako will show up, even though
You know
it's
what
flat.
would be real bravado? If you put that stake around his neck and jump in
Hammerhead.
the aquarium tank. Now that's
Now, I
bravery.
don't.
Like,
Anyway, go on with the
so
subject.
if he's doing it to impress women,
Please don't
and
do it.
that is his purpose, is he stupid?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or is
Probably.
he ignorant?
Yeah.
Depends on if he knows
I
about
don't think
sharks.
he's ignorant, because I think he would know that if I had this piece of steak around my neck and I go.
No, for all he knows, for all that we know, he actually has no idea that sharks eat meat.
Discovery! Shark Week! Go watch it!
What if this guy basically just got off a plane from a farm in the middle of
Okay,
Nebraska?
this guy's 25 years old and has been to school, and school usually does at least talk about sharks.
Maybe you never take
Not my
attention
school.
to any of those classes, and you always
Even
watch.
if you don't
Alright.
pay attention, most
So-
people know
so if-
sharks equals bad.
So if we understand this guy has at some point in his life learned that sharks are bad,
Bad as in carnivorous.
bad to be around,
Put steak around your neck.
then I think you could say that this person is actually being stupid, because their knowledge has not prevented them from doing something that is unreasonable.
So he's not utilizing the knowledge. I mean, because like remember, his purpose. We're assuming his purpose is to impress people. But we know that, and I would hope that he would know that there are other ways of impressing people other than throwing yourself into a large body of water filled with predators that are designed, so to speak.
You know what's really impressive?
Just go in the water. But
if you can get a job, get a house, and live comfortably, that is quite impressive. And I was gonna say, it could be a different situation. Like if the guy lives on like a really small island and they're trying to get food, and this is the only way they can get food. It's
Oh yeah, there's tribes that do all sorts
Or
of
maybe
crazy
there's
things.
something that is mentally compromising his actions.
But they've been taught.
Maybe he has a clay up his nose that it's like, you know, touching part of his brain. And
Homer Simpson.
There's a crayon in my
But
brain.
like those people on the islands that actually go into the water with just a knife and kill sharks, like they, as far as I know, they've been taught how to do that, and they themselves have done their own science. We may not think of it as science just because they don't have all these sophisticated equipment and stuff, but they've done their own science and research on the animals that live around them, and so they are more I would say mentally equipped and possibly physically to take on the shark.
Let's go get that village idiot and see if this plant kills him or not.
Other than the goofball who watches Jersey Shore 24/7 and decides to jump in the water to attract sharks in order to get girls to say ooh.
But in that case, his background knowledge is extremely important to judging whether or not the person's stupid.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an interesting point that we didn't bring up before.
Also, when I said that there might be something that's mentally blocking him from doing correct actions. I'm saying that maybe he's mentally not there. Maybe he's.
No, but in that case, would we go back? If we're in the subject of judging this person, would we go backwards in his life and things like taking those things that would impair their judgment to do stupid things? Would that make them stupid for making that choice to begin with?
Depends on what they knew back then.
Maybe he was drunk.
So you have to judge each situation based.
But
That's what I mean.
But then you can look back at that.
Is it stupid to get drunk?
Well, it depends.
Exactly.
Well,
but what does it depend on?
Well, based on what you guys defined it as, if like they know alcohol is bad for them and they still do it anyway, then yes, they're stupid.
That would be 98% of college population, man.
Amen.
Come on, gavel.
So everybody is prone to.
I told you, man. She's gonna mic control us all.
But it's also known that I knows that
I don't want to make myself look like
it's like I haven't.
It's
Put
just
your hand down.
You challenge me to a fight.
What's your name?
You dare
I
challenge my
am the disembodied voice.
But okay. Let's get contra. Hey, we're on camera here. No fighting.
Hey,
we're not
fighting.
Let's be controversial.
This wasn't a fight.
Let's be controversial here.
I'm suing
Everyone's favorite nature guy, Steve Irwin.
Steve Irwin.
Was he stupid?
Who's Steve Irwin? The crocodile hunter?
Crocodile hunter.
Okay.
Was he stupid?
Good night, Mike. I'm Steve Irwin, crocodile hunter.
You see
That's
that? That's a situation where I think
sharks.
this is why I think it's another situation where he has significant background knowledge. Maybe not necessarily on the animal that killed him, but even so, I think it's a false sense of bravado. He survived everything.
Except for the stingray.
That's what I mean. He survived everything before that, so he's like, I know what I'm doing, so I'm going to put myself in a dangerous situation.
Exactly.
It's unfortunate.
So would you consider bravado be somewhat, in some cases, be stupid? Like what Steve Irwin did with the stingray was stupid.
What did he do with the stingray?
I think it stabbed him in the heart.
He swam too close to it and made it kind of
like he died in the only conceivably possible way.
The thing is though, it tried to stab Steve Irwin twice because the first time the stingray missed and he still went back for it.
That is stupidity.
It depends on the species. Some species some stingers. Just real quick. On some stingrays, the sting is so small that it would have to try several times to get you. In some species, like the giant freshwater stingray found in Indonesia, which can get wider than what I'm spreading right now, its stinger is this long.
I can pierce through it.
It don't even have to be venomous. It can just kill you by stabbing, which is actually what happened to poor Steve Irwin.
And this is why it's like, I don't really think it's considered stupidity necessarily. This might be a weird intermediary, like between ignorance and stupidity.
Yeah, this may be the rare case of it in between roads here.
He didn't really expect this.
Because he's in between the crossroads here because
it's like there's no particular
Joe's
reason.
trying to say something.
Oh, sorry, Joe.
Like he's in the middle of the crossroads here. Like say to my left is the road to stupidity, and to my right is the road to intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
He's in the middle of that four. He has nowhere to go.
But what would you say? Would this also be like in between ignorance and stupidity? Like, clearly he wasn't acting in the way that he should have. But does that mean he didn't have the information he needed?
In a way, wasn't he trying to establish some way that he can gain knowledge about how to interact with Stingray?
But I'm sure there's books on how to interact with a stingray.
No,
There's some things don't go near that.
That's not necessarily stupid, because I might want to do something like I might want to figure out how to put this circuit together, but I can get electrocuted a lot, and that can make me dead. But the thing is that the only way to actually figure out how to put the circuitry together to light some huge skyline that I have to light in the first place, I'm going to have to take that risk. And I'm going to have to take that risk. And if I take that risk in order for the pursuit of knowledge, is that stupid?
So depending on the amount of knowledge you have and the purpose that you're trying to do, because you may not know any other way to
It's like let's actually dumb this down to a more basic example.
Okay.
Children, like toddlers. At some point, every kid needs to learn that's hot, that's sharp, that's dangerous. It's like you need to learn all those things. You're ignorant of that information, like you're saying with this. You don't know how to do this, you don't know how to do this yet.
That's what
because you haven't built it yet.
You put your hand on that hot stove once, you're never gonna do it again.
Exactly, but you need to do it.
Yeah.
So I don't think doing new things without knowledge of how it's going to end means you're stupid.
Also,
I think there is a great
end, and just doing it for no apparent reason or to impress someone is stupid.
A wise man once said that a wise man learns from other people's mistakes.
Bullshit. Bullshit.
That is bullshit.
I don't know sometimes, because
you have to experience everything yourself.
I'm not going to.
Oh, what happened to no cursing on the show?
I'll watch the effects.
David, what happened? David,
life-threatening things are a little different.
What happened to no cursing on the show?
What did I say?
You said bullshit.
BS.
Bullshit is not a bad word.
I said bullshit.
Only
Yes, you did.
somebody's voice is not allowed to curse.
David, stop cursing.
Good job, Joe. Joe gets a point.
I'll add it to my other 9,000 points.
But there's one more thing about intelligence and stupidity we didn't touch on. How about animals that as far as we know, because we're still learning about animal behavior. How about animals that we would deem more as instinctive? Like they didn't have to learn whatever they didn't have to learn certain things to do their behavior.
I actually don't think it's a fair comparison, because I don't think we have the capacity to actually understand the thought pathways certain animals have. Only recently have we even discovered that a whole lot of animals we thought were just stupid actually make conscious decisions.
I actually had a conversation about this with a friend of mine, and it's only known that a few animals within the animal kingdom, as far as we know now, are conscious beings.
I heard the opposite. I heard that there was a significantly more things that are considered conscious.
Oh, really?
Yeah, even birds or some invertebrates.
Well, putting that aside,
the ability to reflect on one's own actions.
Well, putting that aside,
wouldn't that be more of sapience? Sentience, I mean?
Sentience, that's what I'm at.
Because if you're conscious, you're aware, you're looking around and stuff.
So most things are conscious.
Well, putting that aside,
sentience is more common than previously anticipated.
Putting that aside, what makes sentience? And in a conversation that my friend and I had, sentience, you have to have stupidity. You have to have some stupidity. And where does the stupidity come from?
Wait, so to be sentient, you need to have stupidity?
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting.
I mean, in order to have light, you need dark, right?
To be sentient, you must have a sense of not only logic, because that is what instinctual animals have. They just work on logic.
So there always has to be a reciprocal.
Yeah, but if you're sentient, you have logic, but you also have a part of your brain that recognizes emotion, and sometimes you act on your emotions. Not all the time is it stupid to act on your emotions, but most of the time, it is. And bringing that, all sentient beings are stupid, but at the same time,
We
they
have
have
the
the
capacity
ability
to not be
to
stupid.
reason through that stupidity.
I think we might be.
Whoa!
I think we might be using.
I wish we could just stop now, because that's such a cool thing to end on.
I think we might be using sentience and sapience interchangeably. The sapiens, Homo sapiens, refers to
So
more.
homo.
Refers to
Go
more
on, Dante.
about knowledge. Knowledge and wisdom. That is a word we haven't used yet. Surprising wisdom. Sentience will be. Actually, I've never looked at the difference between sentience and consciousness, but I do think they go hand in hand.
I'm pretty sure consciousness is just awareness of one's surroundings.
I think so.
Not just saying, oh, light is happening, therefore I'm going to start this biological process, but kind of going, oh, there's light.
Because a lot of people wouldn't consider a
It's really
worm.
warm in here, so I'm gonna go to sleep.
A lot of people wouldn't consider a worm to be sapient, to hold knowledge or a vast amount of wisdom. But somebody will look at a chimpanzee, nowadays and be like, yeah, I would consider that to be a more sapient animal than, say, a honeybee or a snake or even a shark.
But honeybees have such a complex manner of that
No, this-
little dance that they do.
No, this is why I don't think it's a fair thing for us to judge on our terms. Because like a bee,
Yeah, you can't-
like
I could
a
never call an animal
beehive is
stupid.
literally like one gigantic brain. So like,
Yeah, it's a superorganism, literally. A hive is literally a superorganism.
so like, I don't think it's really fair for us to judge like, oh, that bee's stupid.
Yeah, like,
It's
I've
like,
never,
no, it's not.
Like, I could never
That's like
find,
saying this brain cell is stupid.
like, I could never
Of course
find
it is.
myself,
saying
I don't ever recall
that's like
myself
saying
calling
a
an animal
table is
stupid for something, and probably for that very same reason. Like you'll see a deer and it'll be running along, all of a sudden like there's a lion running in front of it, and you see a deer just run right into it and get attacked. Like I've never thought stupid, antelope is usually not to be deer after. I usually never thought stupid antelope. It was more of like, well, I can't really fathom the reason why the antelope ran towards the lion and got tackled and killed.
Because in that case, there might actually be a sentience issue. A sentience issue.
Mm.
Because like, if it's purely reactionary, then you totally could. Like a moth.
Mm.
Like a moth will circle a flame until it burns to death.
Mm.
And that's just because it's reactionary. It doesn't think about it's what it's circling. It's just trained. Light has to be at this corner of my eye at all times.
Yeah, it's like animals have like this set of I'm going to, for lack of a better term, cranial rules. There's
Okay.
there's a certain rule that their brain follows. That we can't fathom. What
Yeah, I would say more their
belongs.
nervous system follows.
Yeah. Although they do have gang rules kind of works as a brain stuff, but that's besides the point. Like you said, and even Sean O'Donnell, who's animal behaviorist, says that we really cannot truly predict or comprehend what an animal is thinking. We cannot really know its true intentions. I mean, we can look at behaviors and make predictions, but we cannot know for certain that say, oh, that wolf is actually pissed. We cannot truly say that.
You can sometimes tell that wolf is pissed.
You can sometimes
No, on
tell,
our
but-
terms.
Yeah,
We
only
don't
on our
actually
terms,
know
but not
we
on
don't
the wolf's
actually know what the
terms.
reaction is.
Well, if it comes and attacks you because you're agitating it, you think it's pissed off, right?
It could be an emotion we don't even understand.
True that.
It could be a weird
But
combination of
can I
Like-
say I think flies are stupid because it's a window. Why do you keep running into a window?
because where in nature would you ever have a window?
Like, it's got a screen and
Well,
everything.
you have to consider that a lot of these animals don't know a lot of stuff we do.
I think it's more they're
As far as we
ignorant than they are stupid.
I would go so far that the words we have to describe their mental capacity are not adequate.
Yeah.
So
Also-
that's our fault, not
Also,
theirs.
just on the record, the podcasts I've been part of on the co-op channel that I do are more organized than this. I'm sorry to say.
What?
That hurts, Joe. That hurts.
I'm saying because it's like you guys always talk at once at the most random points, and
Yeah, we do.
it does get quite
Save
annoying.
this for after. Actually, it's now after. Hello, everyone, and goodbye.
Hello.
Thank you for joining.
That was a fail. You did an intro.
I did it on purpose to say hello and goodbye.
Good
You want
news,
me?
everyone.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Please email us at drexfreethought@gmail.com for any questions, comments. I am in the process of uploading all of these to YouTube.
Yeah,
So
but
you'll all
you
be
need to
able to see
prove
them
to have more
often.
than 15 minutes of video.
I can find ways.
I would say like upload like vlogs or something like that first, and then once you get the
Discuss later, damn it, I'm saying goodbye to everybody. Goodbye, Internet. I'm leaving now. And so are these people. Thank you for joining the Drexel Freethought Society. Goodbye.
Yeah.